Captain Zaratel of the Galactic Survey Corps stared at her scanner in disbelief. After 3 decades of mapping uninhabitable systems, she thought she'd seen everything. But the readings from the 3rd planet in this backwater system defied all logic. Navigation Officer Crix, confirm these readings, she commanded, her crystalline form pulsing with anxiety. Crix's tentacles danced over the controls. Confirmed, Captain. Gravity, 1.0 standard units, survivable. Atmosphere, 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, breathable. Temperature range, -89 to 58 degrees Celsius. Water coverage, 71%. Then why is it classified as a Class 15 Death World, Captain? The highest rating possible. Crix's voice trembled. No planet has ever scored above Class 12. Zaratel pulled up the detailed analysis. Her 3 hearts stopped beating in sequence as she read. Tectonic instability, massive plates grinding together, creating earthquakes and volcanoes. Extreme weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, floods. Radiation exposure, cosmic rays barely filtered by weak magnetic field. Biological hazards, trillions of hostile microorganisms. Predator density, 15% of all life forms are active hunters. Toxic flora, 40% of plant species produce deadly compounds. Seasonal extremes, massive climate shifts based on axial tilt. The cumulative danger rating is. Science Officer Velmar paused. Captain, it says 15.7. That's theoretically impossible. Nothing could survive more than a few hours on such a world. Set course for high orbit, Zaratel ordered. Maintain full shields and a. Captain. Communications Officer Dex interrupted, all 4 eyes widening. I'm detecting radio signals. Billions of them. From the Death World. Interference? No, Captain. They're structured. Music, data streams, video transmissions. This planet has a technological civilization. The bridge fell silent. Scan for orbital installations. Maybe they built sealed colonies. Captain, Dex's voice cracked. They're not in domes. Life signs indicate 7.8 billion sapient beings. They're just living there. On the surface. Everywhere. The main screen flickered to life, showing an intercepted video transmission. A bipedal creature appeared, standing on 2 legs with no tail for balance, skin exposed with minimal fur coverage, cheerfully reporting something called weather. Today's forecast, partly cloudy with a chance of thunderstorms. UV index of 8, don't forget your sunscreen. Now over to Tom with the traffic report. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the creature casually discussed navigating through precipitation that would dissolve most species, while exposed to radiation levels that would cook a Zenthari in minutes. Orders, Captain? Crix asked weakly. Zaratel straightened. Establish first contact protocols. And pray to the void that they're friendly. Any species that considers a Class 15 Death World partly cloudy is not one we want as enemies. First Contact Specialist Thyma had prepared for this moment her entire life. She'd studied 847 different greeting protocols, memorized the peaceful intentions speech in 93 languages, and practiced remaining calm in the face of the unknown. None of it prepared her for Marcus Johnson. Hey there. Welcome to Earth. The human bounded across the landing field with horrifying agility, apparently unbothered by the 1G gravity that had the entire diplomatic team struggling to remain upright. I'm Ambassador Johnson, but please, call me Marcus. Love the ship. Is that a Quantum 7 drive or Quantum 8? Thyma's translator struggled with the casual speech patterns. We. Greetings, Ambassador. I am First Contact Specialist Thyma of the Galactic Council. We come in peace too. Peace? Awesome. Hey, you guys hungry? We set up a whole buffet. Wasn't sure what you'd like. So we've got everything from sushi to barbecue. Oh, and Janet made her famous chocolate cake. You haven't lived until you've tried Janet's cake. Security Chief Boric stepped forward, his combat suit's servos whining under the gravitational strain. Ambassador Johnson, we must discuss safety protocols. Your world's hazard rating. Oh, that. Marcus waved dismissively. Yeah, Earth can be a bit exciting. Speaking of which, we should probably head inside. Weather report says there's a thunderstorm coming in about 20 minutes. Nothing major, just some lightning and heavy rain. Lightning? Velmar squeaked. Atmospheric electrical discharges? We should return to the ship immediately. Marcus laughed. actually laughed at the mention of a phenomenon that killed dozens of survey team members annually. Nah, we'll be fine indoors. The building's grounded. Come on. I'll give you the tour. As they followed the human toward a structure that seemed impossibly fragile. Glass windows, thin walls, no visible shielding, Thyma noticed something disturbing. Hundreds of humans had gathered to watch the landing, many holding up small devices. Ambassador, are those weapons? What? Oh, the phones? They're just taking pictures. This is huge for us. First alien contact. It'll be all over social media in minutes. He paused. Actually, it probably already is. Hi, YouTube. A small human larvae, a child ran past chasing a small predator. Is that creature dangerous? Boric demanded, reaching for his weapon. Max? Nah, he's friendly. Good boy, Max. Marcus called to the predator, a dog, which bounded over. Humans and dogs go way back. We domesticated them about 15,000 years ago. You domesticated predators? Several species, actually. Cats too, though they mostly domesticated themselves. They entered the building just as the sky darkened. Through the windows, Thyma watched in horror as electricity split the sky. Rain began falling in sheets. Perfect timing. Marcus said cheerfully. So, let me introduce you to the team. This is Dr. Rodriguez from our science division. Oh, careful with the coffee, it's hot. Dr. Rodriguez was holding a cup of steaming liquid that Thyma's scanner identified as containing multiple alkaloid toxins. She was drinking it. Voluntarily. Welcome to Earth, Dr. Rodriguez said warmly. We're so excited to meet you. Thunder crashed overhead. The humans didn't even flinch. I need to report to my ship, Thyma said faintly. Sure thing. Marcus said. Want to take some cake for the road? As Thyma established communication, one thought dominated her mind. How do you establish diplomatic relations with a species that considers a Class 15 death world's exciting weather an excuse for a party? And this, Ambassador Marcus Johnson announced proudly, is the Grand Canyon. Survey leader Crix 9 checked his environmental suit's readings 3 times. They couldn't be correct. He was standing at the edge of a massive geological scar, a chasm so deep his species' entire civilization could disappear into it. Wind that would sandblast the carapace off a Rigelian howled up from the depths. You brought us to a tectonic rupture? He chittered nervously. This area must be evacuated immediately. When the geological instability. Oh, it's stable, Marcus assured him. Been here for about 6 million years. We run rafting tours down the river at the bottom. Tours? Cultural analyst Gemexa blinked all 6 eyes in sequence, her species equivalent of a panic attack. You voluntarily descend into this abyss? It's fun. Bit of whitewater, some camping under the stars. Speaking of which... Marcus checked his watch, a primitive timekeeping device that somehow functioned in the electromagnetic interference. We should head to Australia next. I want to show you the reef before dark. The alien delegation exchanged what would have been worried glances if any of them had compatible facial expressions. In the past 6 hours, the human had shown them. Yellowstone, a massive supervolcano that the humans had turned into a recreational area. Death Valley, where humans went to experience the heat. The Amazon, a biological warfare zone where everything was trying to kill everything else and humans went birdwatching. Antarctica, where humans lived year-round for science, enduring temperatures that would flash freeze most species. Now they stood at the edge of an impossible chasm and the human was checking something called Instagram. Look, we're trending. Marcus showed them his device. Hashtag alien tourists has 2 million posts already. Oh, that's a good one, Al. Someone photoshopped you guys into a wish you were here postcard. Ambassador, Chief Medical Officer Vrex wheezed, her breathing apparatus struggling with Earth's aggressive atmosphere. Perhaps we should return to our ship. My team needs to process what we've learned. Just one more stop, I promise. You can't visit Earth without seeing the Great Barrier Reef. 3 hours and 1 terrifying airplane ride later, the delegation found themselves on a boat, on an ocean filled with things that wanted to eat them. Now, the reef is perfectly safe, Marcus explained, handing out something called snorkeling gear. Just watch out for the box jellyfish, blue-ringed octopus, stonefish, sea snakes, and sharks. Oh, and don't touch the coral, some of it's poisonous. This is safe. Crix 9's translator glitched on the last word. Relatively speaking, we've only had 3 fatalities this year. Ready to jump in? Security Officer Heck checked his scanner. There are approximately 4,000 species within a 100-meter radius. 97 of them are capable of killing us. Yeah, but look how pretty they are. Marcus was already stripping down to a garment that covered almost nothing, apparently planning to enter the water with his skin exposed. The water's warm, visibility's perfect. Come on. He dove off the boat with a splash. The aliens watched in horror as he surfaced, laughing, surrounded by creatures that could end him in seconds. I'm updating my report, GemXA muttered. Humans don't just live on a death world. They treat it as recreational entertainment. A massive shape passed under the boat. Marcus waved at it cheerfully. Oh cool, a tiger shark. They're usually pretty chill. Usually, the entire delegation screamed in unison. 20 minutes later, they convinced Marcus to return to shore. He seemed genuinely disappointed they wouldn't try the perfectly safe activity of swimming with predators. All right, he conceded. How about dinner instead? There's this great place that serves fugu, that's pufferfish. It's got this neurotoxin that'll kill you if it's not prepared right. But when it's done properly, it's delicious. You eat poisonous creatures? On purpose. Vrex had given up trying to make sense of anything. Well, yeah. Adds excitement to dinner. Oh, or we could get ghost peppers. Those are fun. They're so hot they can cause chemical burns. Hecht pulled up his species' first contact protocols on his datapad and added a new section. When dealing with humans, assume all activities, foods, and environments they describe as fun, safe, or mild are potentially lethal. Plan accordingly. One question, Ambassador, Crix-9 asked as they headed back to the spaceport. Your species has achieved spaceflight. You could colonize safer worlds. Why do you stay here? Marcus looked genuinely puzzled. Safer? But Earth's got everything. Seasons, weather, diverse ecosystems. Other planets are so boring. Mars doesn't even have proper storms. Where's the fun in that? The delegation fell silent. They were dealing with a species that had looked at one of the universe's most hostile worlds and thought this could use more excitement. Crix-9 made a mental note, recommend immediate admission to the Galactic Council. Any species insane enough to call a Class 15 death world home was better as an ally than an enemy. Also, update the warning labels on Earth. Add a new one. Local inhabitants consider deadly environments tourist attractions. Proceed with extreme caution and lowered expectations of survival. Dr. Sylvia Rodriguez loved her job. As Earth's lead xenobiologist, she dreamed of this day sharing humanity's biological journey with alien visitors. She hadn't expected their unfiltered horror. So she began pulling up a holographic display in the university's lecture hall. Human evolution is a fascinating story of adaptation to extreme environments. The alien science team sat rigidly in specially reinforced chairs, environmental suits humming. Their leader, Chief Scientist Velmar, had been taking notes nonstop since arriving. We began as tree-dwelling primates about 7 million years ago, Sylvia continued. Then climate change drove us onto the African savannas. Climate change? Velmar's synthesizer crackled. Your species survived planetary climate alteration? Multiple times, actually. Ice ages, warming periods, the Younger Dryas. We're quite adaptable. She clicked to the next slide. Now walking upright was key. It freed our hands for tool use and a. Excuse me, interrupted Dr. Kex, a gelatinous being from Proxima System. You abandoned quadrupedal stability? On a 1G world? That's suicide. Well, it did make us vulnerable to back problems, Sylvia admitted. But it let us see predators over tall grass and travel more efficiently. Plus, it helped with thermal regulation. Thermal regulation? Velmar leaned forward. Explain. Oh, humans have this amazing cooling system. We sweat through our skin up to 12 liters in extreme conditions. The evaporation cools us down, letting us function in temperatures that would kill most mammals. The room erupted in disgusted chittering, bubbling, and other alien expressions of revulsion. You leak saline through your largest organ? Dr. Zephyr, whose species communicated through color changes, had turned a vivid shade of nauseated purple. That's a massive infection risk. We have immune systems for that, Sylvia said cheerfully. Actually, human immunity is fascinating. We're born with barely any, then build it through exposure. Our bodies keep a memory of every pathogen we encounter. She pulled up a diagram of antibodies. We can even share immunity. Mothers pass antibodies through breast milk, and we've developed vaccines to train our immune systems against diseases without getting sick. You intentionally inject pathogens? Velmar's voice rose an octave. Modified ones, yes. It's perfectly safe. Well, mostly. Side effects are rare. Sylvia was warming to her topic. But the really cool part is our microbiome. We carry about 38 trillion bacteria. A wet thud interrupted her. Dr. Kex had fainted, his gelatinous form spreading across the floor. Two assistants rushed to reconstitute him. Perhaps we should move on, Sylvia suggested. Let's talk about human dietary adaptations. This, she thought, would be safer. She was wrong. Humans are omnivores, she began. We can digest plant matter, meat, dairy. Dairy. Velmar interrupted. Define dairy. Oh, milk products. From other mammals. Though actually, most humans lose the ability to digest lactose after childhood. Some populations evolved continued lactase production about 10,000 years ago. You drink the mammary secretions of other species? Dr. Zephyr had shifted to an alarming shade of black. And your bodies randomly decide whether to properly digest it? It's not random, it's genetic. But yes, lactose intolerance can be uncomfortable. Bloating, gas, digestive issues. Then why consume it? Kex demanded, having regained semi-solidity. Because ice cream is delicious? Sylvia offered. Oh, and cheese. Cheese has less lactose. The aging process involves controlled bacterial growth. Another thud. This time it was the crystalline Dr. Yix who'd shattered into unconscious pieces. Sylvia soldiered on. Human digestion is remarkably robust. We can eat foods that would poison other species. Chocolate, caffeine, capsaicin. The chemical weapon? Velmar's scanner was beeping alarmingly. You consume military-grade irritants for pleasure? It triggers endorphin release. Makes us feel good. Though it can cause some digestive distress the next day. You willingly ingest substances that cause you pain and digestive dysfunction? Kex quivered. Is this species-wide masochism? No. Well, maybe a little. But let's talk about something else. How about human reproduction? This was definitely the wrong choice. Human gestation lasts 9 months, she began. The fetus develops in the uterus. 9 months. Velmar stood abruptly. Our species gestates in pods for 3 weeks maximum. 9 months of parasitic growth. It's not parasitic. Well, technically, but it's natural. Though birth is quite painful. The infant's head is almost too large for the birth canal. Almost too large? Evolution's compromise between big brains and bipedalism. But don't worry, we've gotten very good at cesarean sections. That's where we cut through the abdomen, The entire alien delegation stood as one. Dr. Rodriguez, Velmar said formally, we thank you for this illuminating presentation. We must return to our ship to process this information. But I haven't even gotten to the appendix yet. It's this organ that serves no purpose but sometimes explodes. The aliens fled. Actually ran from the lecture hall despite the gravitational discomfort. Sylvia slumped in disappointment. She'd prepared such interesting material on autoimmune diseases, cancer, and the fact that humans could bite off their own tongues if they weren't careful. Her assistant, Tom, entered as the aliens' environmental suits could be heard whirring down the corridor. How'd it go? He asked. They left before I could explain wisdom teeth, she sighed. Or hiccups. Or that thing where your immune system can randomly decide you're allergic to water. Maybe ease them into it next time? Tom suggested. Start with something simple like our circadian rhythms being slightly off from the planet's rotation. Oh, that's good. Or how we can die from drinking too much water. Or how our eyes have a blind spot our brains just edit out. Or a Dr. Rodriguez? Yes. Maybe let someone else give the next presentation. She considered this. You're probably right. Though someone should really warn them about prion before they try any Earth food. Galactic historian Artemis V had studied the rise and fall of 10,000 civilizations. She documented species that built Dyson spheres, cultures that achieved transcendence, and empires that spanned galaxies. But humanity's historical records left her questioning the fundamental nature of sapient development. Let me understand, she said, her 12 eyes focusing on Professor David Wright of Oxford University. Your species developed nuclear weapons in 1945 and first used them on yourselves? David shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Well, it was war. World War II specifically. Though if we're being honest, we've had 2 world wars. So far. Artemis V's universal translator struggled with the casual tone. You anticipate more conflicts of planetary scale? Hope not. But you know, history has patterns. We've been fighting wars since, well, forever. The earliest recorded war was in Mesopotamia around 2700 BCE. Artemis 5 pulled up her datapad. Our records indicate most species achieve global unity within 500 years of developing agriculture. You've had agriculture for 12,000 years. Yeah, we're a bit behind on the whole unity thing. Though we're getting better. The UN has 193 member states now. States? Plural. Artemis 5's chromatophores flickered, her species' sign of deep confusion. You still have separate governmental entities? Oh yes. Actually, some want to separate further. Brexit, independence movements, that sort of thing. Humans are very attached to tribal identities. The historian accessed more files, her expression growing increasingly disturbed. These records indicate your species has engaged in conflicts over colors of fabric? Ah, the Wars of the Roses. Yeah, that was York versus Lancaster. White Rose versus Red Rose. 30 years of civil war. Over flowers? Well, symbolic flowers. It was really about royal succession, but the roses were. Look, human conflicts don't always make sense in hindsight. Artemis 5 scrolled further. The Emu War of 1932? David laughed nervously. Oh, that. Australia declared war on emus, large flightless birds. The emus won. Your military lost to birds? They're very fast birds. And we only sent 3 men with 2 machine guns. In fairness, the emus had superior numbers and tactical advantages. Your species went to war against native fauna and lost. Artemis 5 stated flatly. And you're spacefaring now? We've improved. Though we did have that whole space race thing. USA and Soviet Union competing to get to the moon first. Spent billions, risked lives, all for national pride. At least you united for space exploration afterward? Actually, we kind of lost interest after beating the Soviets. Took decades to get back to serious space programs. But hey, now we've got private companies launching billionaires for fun. Artemis 5's patterns showed what humans would recognize as a migraine forming. Show me your medical history. Surely your survival instincts. Oh boy, David muttered, pulling up new files. Where to start? Bloodletting? Trepanation, that's drilling holes in skulls to release evil spirits. Mercury as medicine. Radioactive water as a health tonic. Lobotomies for mental illness. The tobacco industry knowing cigarettes caused cancer, but hiding it for decades. Stop. Artemis 5 held up 4 of her appendages. Your species voluntarily poisoned itself? Multiple times. Don't get me started on lead in gasoline. Or asbestos. Or thalidomide. Though we did invent vaccines, so that's good. You mentioned vaccines caused controversy? Oh, some people think they cause autism. They don't, but try telling them that. We have diseases making comebacks because people won't vaccinate their children. Your species refuses prevention for deadly diseases? Some do. Freedom of choice and all that. Very human concept. Artemis 5 was now patterns humans had never seen before, possibly existential crisis in color form. Your cultural practices. Explained this. She projected an image. Ah, gladiatorial games. Romans made people fight to the death for entertainment. Very popular for about 400 years. And this. Another projection. Witch trials. We burned people alive for allegedly practicing magic. Which doesn't exist. Probably. Though after meeting you guys, who knows? This. Her patterns were increasingly erratic. The dancing plague of 1518. People danced themselves to death. We still don't know why. Mass hysteria, maybe? Ergot poisoning? Just one of those things. Just one of those things? Artemis 5 repeated faintly. How did your species survive to achieve spaceflight? David brightened. Oh, that's the amazing part. Despite everything, the wars, plagues, natural disasters, self-inflicted catastrophes, we just keep going. Humans are incredibly resilient. We survived the Black Death killing a third of Europe. Rebuilt after world wars. Bounced back from economic collapses. We even survived the 1980s fashion trends, and those were truly apocalyptic. You just about near extinction events? Humor helps us cope. Like how we have a clock counting down to nuclear midnight, but we also have cat videos. Balance, you know? Artemis 5 closed her files. Professor Wright, in my analysis of 10,000 civilizations, I have never encountered a species that so thoroughly sabotages its own survival while simultaneously refusing to die. How do you explain this paradox? David shrugged. Spite? Stubbornness? Sheer dumb luck? Honestly, we're as surprised as you are that we made it this far. But here we are, ready to join the galactic community. That, Artemis 5 said quietly, is what terrifies me most. As she left, David called out cheerfully, I didn't even get to explain reality TV yet, or social media, or how we nearly destroyed the ozone layer with hairspray. The historian's pattern suggested she was very glad she hadn't heard those stories. Her report to the Galactic Council would be simple: humanity, chaos incarnate, survived through equal parts brilliance and insanity. Approach with caution and possibly sedatives. The Galactic Council's Military Assessment Board had one final test for humanity before full membership could be granted. Admiral Krextog, veteran of 100 campaigns, personally oversaw what should have been a simple survival demonstration. The rules are straightforward, the Admiral explained to the human volunteers through the translator. 5 of your people, 5 from our allied species, standard survival scenario. Last team standing wins. Marine Sergeant Jessica Martinez surveyed her team: an engineer named Bob, a teacher called Emily, a chef named Antonio, and inexplicably someone's grandmother named Dorothy who'd volunteered because it sounded fun. What's the scenario? Jessica asked. Temperate forest environment. Natural predators. No advanced technology. Basic supplies only. Standard gravity and atmosphere. Krextog's mandibles clicked smugly. Should be familiar territory for your Death World species. The alien team consisted of elite military specimens from 5 different worlds. A Rigelian combat specialist, a Zenthari hunter, a Vorthan scout, a Kelvin warrior, and a Threnodai survivalist. Each was the pinnacle of their species' military evolution. Dorothy raised her hand. Can I bring my knitting? Your textile creation tools? Krextog was baffled. If you must. Day 1. The simulation began at dawn. Both teams were dropped into opposite ends of a forested valley with basic supplies: water purification tablets, emergency rations, basic tools, and communication devices for emergencies only. The alien team immediately implemented textbook survival protocol. They established a defensive perimeter, assigned watch schedules, and began constructing fortifications using their superior strength and specialized abilities. The human team's approach was different. First things first, Antonio announced. We need a proper kitchen. Kitchen? Emily asked. Shouldn't we build shelter? Can't work on empty stomachs. Bob, you were a Boy Scout, right? Fire. On it. Bob began gathering sticks while humming. Dorothy had already found a comfortable rock and started knitting. Jessica, dear, be a lamb and see if there are any berries around. I'll make cobbler if we find enough. Jessica, trained for combat scenarios, found herself scouting for dessert ingredients. Meanwhile, the alien team detected the smoke from the human fire within an hour. Fools! The Rigelian commander hissed. They reveal their position on the first day. This will be easier than anticipated. Day 3. The alien team's fortification was impressive. Walls of interwoven branches, concealed positions, trip alarms made from local materials. They'd rationed their supplies carefully and maintained strict noise discipline. A scout reported back, the humans have made no defensive preparations. They appear to be hosting dinner. Indeed, the human camp looked more like a camping trip than a survival scenario. They'd built a large shelter with a stone fireplace, comfortable beds made from pine needles, and what appeared to be a functioning outdoor kitchen where Antonio was teaching Bob to smoke fish. Should we attack? The Zenthari suggested. Wait, the commander decided. Let them weaken themselves with comfort. Survival is about endurance, not luxury. Day 5. The Vorthan scout hadn't returned from morning reconnaissance. They found him at midday, sitting by the human camp, eating what appeared to be grilled fish with herbs while Emily taught him to play cards. They said I looked hungry, he explained sheepishly. The old female made something called cookies. You fraternized with the enemy? The commander roared. They're not very enemy-like, the scout protested. They invited you all for dinner. That evening, Dorothy's cookies claimed the Kelvin warrior who'd gone to retrieve their wayward scout and stayed for what the humans called Texas Hold'em. Day 7. Morale in the alien camp was deteriorating. Strict rations, constant vigilance, and formal military hierarchy were taking their toll. 2 more team members had defected after smelling something called barbecue. Tomorrow we attack, the commander decided. Enough of this, whatever this is. The attack came at dawn. The remaining aliens charged the human camp, expecting to find them sleeping. Instead, they found Jessica had established hidden positions around the camp during her berry-picking expeditions. The lazy humans had actually mapped every approach and set up noisemakers from Antonio's kitchen supplies. The battle was brief. Not because of combat, but because Dorothy stood up from her knitting and declared, "Enough of this nonsense. You boys must be starving. Sit down. Breakfast is ready." The psychological warfare of a grandmother's disapproval combined with the smell of fresh bacon was too much. The alien commander found himself sitting at a makeshift picnic table while Bob explained how they'd made maple syrup from tree sap. Day 10. Admiral Krextog arrived to find both teams sitting around a campfire roasting something called s'mores while Dorothy taught alien warriors to knit scarves. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded. Jessica stood up, still in her marine bearing. "Sir, the exercise parameters were last team standing. We figured the best way to ensure our team was last standing was to make sure there was only one team." "You absorbed the enemy team?" "Made friends," Emily corrected. "Humans are social creatures. Isolation is harder on us than hunger." The Rigelian commander, now wearing a knitted hat Dorothy had made him, stood up. "Admiral, I must report that human survival tactics are unlike anything in our manuals. They don't just survive, they make survival enjoyable." "Enjoyable?" Krextog's voice could have frozen helium. "They turned forest survival into a recreational activity," the commander explained. "They made furniture from logs, seasoned food with wild herbs, told stories for entertainment. The elderly female taught us something called campfire songs. They've created civilization in the wilderness." Antonio stepped forward with a plate. "Admiral, try the fish. Caught fresh this morning, cedar smoked with wild garlic." "This is highly irregular," Krextog began, then stopped as the aroma hit him. Against all protocol, he took a bite. His optical organs dilated. How did you?" "Secrets in the wood selection," Antonio beamed. "And Dorothy's spice mix." Krextog reviewed the situation. Both teams were not just surviving but thriving. The humans had gained weight. The aliens looked healthier than when they'd started. Everyone was clean, well-fed, and inexplicably happy. "Sergeant Martinez," he said finally. "Explain your strategy." Jessica shrugged. "Humans are persistence predators, sir. But we're also persistence community builders. We survived Earth not by being the strongest or fastest, but by working together. By making the unbearable bearable through social bonds. By finding joy even in hardship. Plus, Bob added, Boy Scout training really helps." The Admiral's report to the Council was brief. Human survival strategy is a cognitive hazard. They don't just endure hostile environments, they domesticate them. Psychological warfare effectiveness, catastrophic. Recommend immediate admission before they domesticate the entire galaxy. As they packed up camp, Dorothy pressed a scarf into the Rigelian commander's claws. "For those cold nights on your ship, dear?" The commander, veteran of brutal campaigns across 3 systems, seemed close to tears. "I will treasure it, Battle Grandmother." "That's just Dorothy, dear." "Battle Grandmother Dorothy." Jessica leaned over to Emily. "Did we just accidentally create human-alien warrior bonds through crafting and barbecue?" "I think we did." "Is that going in the report?" "Absolutely not. Let them figure it out themselves." The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had seen many historic moments, first contacts, peace treaties, the occasional declaration of war. But never had it hosted such a heated debate about a single species membership application. "The humans are insane." Counselor Thekvar slammed his appendage on the podium. "They live on a Class 15 death world by choice. They think swimming with predators is recreation. They consume poison for pleasure. They also achieved spaceflight in less than 10,000 years from the invention of agriculture," Counselor Julov Stars countered, her crystalline form chiming with each word. "Their technological advancement rate is unprecedented. Because they're driven by constant crisis." Thekvar retorted. "Their own historical records show they nearly destroyed themselves with nuclear weapons, environmental destruction, and something called social media." High Counselor Zywix Theta called for order. Ambassador Thompson, humanities representative, will now present final arguments. Rachel Thompson stood before beings who had existed since before Earth's sun was born. She'd prepared a lengthy speech about humanity's potential, their creativity, their resilience. But standing there, she decided on a different approach. Distinguished counselors, she began, I could list humanity's achievements. Our art, science, philosophy. But you've seen our reports. You know what we are. She paused. We're chaotic. Destructive. We make terrible decisions. We put pineapple on pizza for crying out loud. Confused murmurs rippled through the chamber. But here's the thing, Rachel continued. We know we're a mess. And we keep trying anyway. We fail, we learn, we fail better. We find humor in darkness, beauty in chaos, hope in impossible situations. We're the species that looked at a death world and thought, needs more dogs. Dogs? High Counselor ZYX Theta queried. Domesticated wolves. We took apex predators and turned them into friends. Just like we're hoping to do with the galaxy. You're comparing the Galactic Council to wolves? Counselor Thekvar sputtered. No, I'm saying humans don't see impossible obstacles. We see potential friends, potential homes, potential adventures. Yes, we're from a death world. That means we're really, really hard to kill. Useful in a galaxy with unknown threats. She pulled up a hologram. This is the Voyager Golden Record. In 1977, we sent a message to the stars. Music, greetings, sounds of Earth. We didn't know if anyone would ever hear it. We sent it anyway, because the possibility of friendship was worth the effort. The council chamber fell silent. You're afraid of us, Rachel said quietly. I get it. We're scary. We're unpredictable. But we're also the species that will run into danger to save strangers. Who'll share our last meal with enemies? Who'll look at the scariest, wildest, most impossible situations and ask, want to be friends? Counselor Venn spoke up. What if humanity's chaos spreads? What if you destabilize our ordered galaxy? Then you'll adapt, Rachel smiled. Because that's what life does. It grows, changes, evolves. You've had order for millions of years. Maybe it's time for a little chaos. Best case? We bring new ideas, new solutions, new perspectives. Worst case? Well, you've survived this long. I bet you can handle some humans. And if we refuse? High Counselor ZYX Theta asked. Rachel shrugged. Then we'll keep sending fruit baskets and friendship proposals until you change your minds. We're very persistent. Ask the dogs. The council deliberated for 3 cycles. Arguments raged about humanity's dangerous nature, their potential contributions, and the unprecedented situation of a death world species achieving spaceflight. Finally, High Counselor ZYX Theta returned to the podium. The council has reached a decision. Humanity's application is accepted. Conditionally. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. The conditions are as follows, ZYX Theta continued. 1. Humanity must provide warning labels for all Earth exports, especially food and entertainment. 2. Human tourism to other worlds requires extensive safety briefings for local populations. 3. No teaching other species about extreme sports without written consent. Rachel was grinning too hard to look diplomatic. 4. Ambassador Dorothy, the battle grandmother, will teach her knitting to the council. We're told it's remarkably soothing. 5. Humanity will share their barbecue techniques as the Regelian delegation won't stop talking about it. And condition 6? Rachel asked, noting the pause. Humanity must promise to remain human. Your chaos, your resilience, your inexplicable optimism, the galaxy needs it. We've grown too comfortable, too stagnant. You're the evolutionary pressure we didn't know we needed. The formal ceremony would come later, but the real moment of acceptance came when Counselor Thekvar approached Rachel afterward. That thing about pineapple on pizza, he said quietly. Is it really that controversial? Oh, it's a war crime in some countries, Rachel said seriously. Fascinating. This pizza, can it be made with other toppings? Buddy, Rachel grinned, let me tell you about the time someone put mac and cheese on pizza. You think you know chaos? You haven't seen anything yet. As news of humanity's acceptance spread across the galaxy, reactions varied from celebration to panic. The one universal response was preparation. Every species began updating their emergency protocols. Not for invasion or war, but for something far more unsettling. Humans wanting to be friends. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere in the void, the Voyager probe continued its journey, carrying its message of hope from a species too stubborn to know when to quit. Welcome to the galaxy, humanity. Try not to break it. Or do. Could probably use some excitement.